These are some cheap, healthy, versatile foods that you should be keeping in your pantry, whether that's for an emergency or just to eat and save money. First of all, there's a few rules that will make sure that all of your food lasts a lot longer. First off, make sure that you're storing your food in a cold, dark, dry place. It'll make everything last a lot longer. Secondly, don't fall for the dates that they put on stuff. They'll put a best by date on it, and that generally just means that that's at the peak of freshness or the most flavor it'll have. You can still eat it after that. It just might not be as great, but it's still gonna be edible. Also, the sell by date is just a recommendation when to sell by. It's not like it magically goes bad on that date. So be aware of that when you're looking at dates. First things first is gonna be oatmeal. I eat oatmeal pretty much every day. We've been buying this in 50-pound bags. And again, if it's stored correctly, it can last easily a couple years. Since we eat it every day, it saves a lot of money to buy in bulk. But when you're doing this, I would actually recommend buying organic oatmeal because oats contain glyphosate, which is a herbicide, which has been linked to cancer. So for me, it's worth paying a little bit more to have organic oats, and it's still gonna be like under 50 cents a serving. All right, the second one, hard red wheat. This is not actually something we store because A, we don't do a lot of baking, and B, I'm gluten-free, so I can't actually have it. But hard red wheat can easily last 15 years to way beyond that if it is stored correctly. So it's like pretty much not gonna go bad. However, you are gonna need a grain mill so you can actually turn it into flour. Since we don't do a lot of baking, I just keep in a couple extra bags of gluten-free flour around. These last about 2 years, but hard red wheat's gonna last forever. Next one, salt. Specifically, I like pink Himalayan sea salt because that's what we use on a daily basis. It has more trace minerals, minimally processed, so it's just gonna be a little bit better for you. Also, there are a ton of uses for salt, so it's definitely not a bad thing to buy in bulk. It's pretty cheap. Again, this is gonna pretty much last forever. Beans. They're good for your heart and other stuff. This should be a staple that most people eat. Generally, they are so good for you. A lot of protein, a lot of fiber, generally really cheap, especially if you're doing dried beans. We're still trying to figure out which are our favorite ones. We know we like Great Northern beans because we use those in chili and a few other things that we cook all the time. So we did get 30 pounds of those, and it works out to just like pennies per serving, so wicked cheap. You can also get things like lentils or split peas, black beans, kidney beans, whatever you want to do. I would just recommend trying out a small bag first before you go and buy 30 pounds of something, because you might realize that you hate it. So I would recommend starting with something small. This was $1.50. It has 13 servings in it. So for like 12 cents a serving, you can find out if you like lentils or not. And if you haven't used them much, you can also figure out how to cook them. So beans should definitely be a staple. Rice. Something that I didn't know till recently, specifically white rice over brown rice. Now, brown rice will only last like 6 to 9 months because it has a lot more natural oils in it, whereas white rice will last like almost forever. Really long time. Plus, this 20-pound bag of rice was like $13, and the bigger the bag, the cheaper it's gonna be. So for like 50 bucks, you can have thousands of servings of rice. So if you're looking for something cheap for a just-in-case food, you know, you can't go wrong with like rice and beans, really. Like literally, this might be cheaper than dirt. Like seriously, this bag of dirt is more expensive. Pasta. Pasta is gonna last for a wicked long time, guy. You don't even know. Since I can't have gluten, we go with gluten-free pasta, but these have Best By dates on them for 2 years from now, so they easily last 2, 3, 4 years. They have protein in them. The ones specifically that we get do have protein in them because they have lentils or chickpeas. So I definitely recommend. So when they're on sale, these are a great thing that we always have, you know, maybe a dozen boxes extra of, because like all of these foods, they're gonna be more expensive the longer you wait with the crazy inflation we got going on right now. Plus, it can be a really good, healthy meal that's relatively cheap, got a lot of protein in it. You can't go wrong with pasta, guy. Popped corn. While this is not really as nutritious as a lot of the other stuff, popcorn, kind of like the rice, is just gonna stay good for a wicked long time. Eventually they might not pop, and that's pretty much the bad thing that'll happen to them for the most part. They're also pretty cheap. If you guys haven't tried it, popcorn with nutritional yeast on it is wicked good. Just amazing, and a really healthy snack. Canned tuna. These are not gonna last forever, but they will last a really long time. The date on these ones is 3 years from now. And that, again, is the Best By date, so it's gonna be good a lot longer than that. If you haven't tried it, tuna nacho is really good. There's a bunch of different things that you can make with tuna. Pretty cheap, easy to store, good source of protein, so you don't just have beans as your source of protein. I don't know, I like a lot of protein, so we usually have some of these on hand whenever they're on sale. A water filter. I've decided I'm no longer repressing my fake Boston accent. it's gonna happen. We have a Berkey water filter. We use this every day. The filters that come with it will last for 6,000 gallons. So for me and Meredith, that's like a couple years. They are not a sponsor. It's a little bit more of an upfront investment. But since we don't feel great about drinking our water from the tap, this is something that was worth it for us. Plus, it's really important to have access to clean water. And when you know that you can get, 10,000 gallons from your Berkey, that can be a lot more efficient than trying to store cases of water in your basement or something like that. So I'd recommend a filter over like actual cases of water, depending on where you live and if you have access to water that you can actually filter. Of course, you could also just get a life straw, but that's not nearly as fun. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to subscribe. Oils, specifically coconut oil. This is one of the things that, again, is gonna last like pretty much forever. Also has a ton of benefits. Just a few of the possible benefits are controlling blood sugar, reducing stress, shiny hair, healthy skin, preventing liver disease, dental health, weight loss. Just as we all know, there's just a million different ways that you can use coconut oil. It's really good for you. However, Meredith's allergic to it, so we don't really keep all that much on hand. I can't use it because she's allergic to it. It's this whole thing. So I do keep some extra virgin olive oil on hand just because it's good to have some type of oil because you need it for a bunch of different things. And I know we're gonna go through it. This just won't last as long as the coconut oil, and it doesn't have all the same benefits, but it's still good to have on hand. Let's be honest, this is my favorite Sweeteners. Actually, I'm not that much of a sweet guy since I gave up white sugar. So we actually keep maple syrup instead of white sugar because of the negative effects of white sugar. We've pretty much given that up entirely. And maple syrup can be really good to sweeten anything that you're cooking, oatmeal, pancakes, cookies, whatever you're doing, you can use maple syrup to make it taste wicked good. This is also gonna last a long, long time. So a good thing to keep on hand, and it's also not getting cheaper. Everything's getting more expensive, guys. We also keep local honey on hand. This is a sweetener as well, but it also has a million other different benefits. You can use it to clean and treat cuts. So we've actually been doing that recently and it works really well. It can help treat acne. If you have a sore throat, you can have it that way. You can put it on your skin, you can put it on your face. Like there's almost nothing you can't do with honey. It is so, so good for you. If stored correctly, it shouldn't really go bad. It might get these little crystally things here, but if you put that in just warm water, it should melt down and kind of return to a baseline. So it should last a very, very long time. Baking soda, again, like dirt cheap, will last pretty much forever. It just might lose some of its effects when you're baking, so you might have to use more or something like that. But it also has a bunch of other uses. You can use it for toothpaste. It's one of the main ingredients if you're trying to make your own toothpaste generally. We use it when our fridge starts smelling weird. You can shove it in the back of the fridge. And then obviously use it for cooking and cleaning. There's a bunch of things that you can do with it. So just keeping a few of these on hand is generally helpful. Vinegar. White vinegar like this is gonna last, again, forever. There's so many things you can do with this. You can pickle stuff, you can clean your windows, just so many different uses, and it's generally pretty cheap. Another one I like to keep on hand is apple cider vinegar. I have a little bit of this every day, just like a teaspoon or something with sparkling water. It tastes amazing, or just regular water. I always get the one with the mother in it, and I've also used this just to like treat acne. It actually works pretty well for that. You can just dab a little bit on the outside of your skin and then also continue to drink some. We use rice vinegar for cooking a lot. All these are gonna last for a while. And like I said, there's just so many ways you can use these vinegars, not only for like consuming, but also for cleaning and everything else under the sun. Soy sauce. If you have a bunch of rice and beans that you do eventually have to eat or just want to eat, it's good to have something to flavor those. And soy sauce is gonna last for a really long time. It's salty. I unfortunately have to get the more expensive gluten-free ones that don't really taste as good, but they're gonna last a long time, and it's important to have things to make all that eating of rice and beans and other stuff that you're going to eat taste a little bit better. Protein powder. Now this is not gonna last as long as most of the other stuff we've talked about. It can last a couple of years, depends on which type you get. But if, like us, you have smoothies regularly and you put a little bit of protein powder in them, it can be good just to have an extra bottle or two that you can keep on hand. Buy them when they're on sale, stock up on a few, and then you know that you'll always have quite a few meals worth of protein. You know, this has got 90 servings in it, so you can probably live off of this for a week. It could just be good to keep a couple extras on hand. Herbs and spices. Now there are a bunch of different herbs out there that do a bunch of different things for you. Everything from like chamomile, which can help you sleep, which I absolutely hate the taste of, so we don't keep that on hand. Or lemon balm, which has a bunch of different uses for teas and sore throats. Ginger is another great thing to keep on hand that will help with nausea. I personally haven't like ventured into buying these things directly. I'm mostly in tea form right now, and then we just drink these. They only last a few years, so not as long as it would if actually like packaged correctly, but that's just something I haven't gotten into yet. One of my favorite things to keep on hand is turmeric. This is a mix of ginger, turmeric, and black pepper that I have pretty much every day. It's golden milk, but turmeric has so many different benefits, so many different uses. Amazing and relatively cheap thing to have on hand. You can just use it as a spice to put in your food, which is fine, but there are also so many other benefits to this. It can be used for treating skin disorders. For me, it's really helped reduce inflammation and joint pain. It can help with allergies and infections, liver disease, arthritis, depression, just so many different uses for turmeric. When I'm not having golden milk, I'll put a little bit in my smoothie. Like, you don't need a ton. It's very good for you. I would definitely recommend keeping it on hand. I think that's it. This is obviously not an exhaustive list. It's just stuff that we keep a little bit extra of. Let me know which ones I missed down in the comments. I'm still trying to learn more about this as well. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next week.